Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about the Echoes of Aincrad demo. I wanted to give my thoughts about the game because I had a chance to dive into the demo the other day, and with the release of the game coming out here very soon, I genuinely wanted to just give my thoughts and talk about the things that I liked about the game and things that I'm really looking forward to, and I genuinely think that this is something worth talking about. I know a lot of people have some things that they're a little bit more nervous about, some things that they maybe don't like, but as somebody who has been a long-time Sword Art Online fan, I do want to just give my thoughts and talk about this. So the biggest thing is, honestly, I had an absolute blast with this demo. There were a lot of things within this demo that I genuinely really enjoyed. I really felt like this game captured what I would have expected Sword Art Online to be like in an MMO situation, but as a single-player RPG. I know a lot of people are kind of getting really nitpicky about some of the animations and stuff, but we'll dive into those in a little bit. And for the most part, I genuinely, though, I had a ton of fun. I played about 4 hours in the demo. I didn't 100% the demo, because honestly, this demo probably could have had me hooked for probably close to like 12 hours with the amount of content that was in there. And I honestly had a ton of fun. The first thing that I really genuinely enjoyed was the vastness of the worlds. I really liked the way that the developers had set up the areas to explore. I think it did a really great job at just making the area feel like a full massive questing area, and if you wanted to go in and you wanted to have your focus being on grinding materials for crafting items and different things like that, you really could do that. And I really just felt like it captured that MMO type feeling in Sword Art Online in a single player RPG really well. And that was honestly really all that I was looking for. I have been a Sword Art Online fan for a really long time. I never really dove into any of the other Sword Art Online games, mainly because frankly I didn't want a Sword Art Online game where I played as Kirito, but rather I wanted a Sword Art Online game where I could play as my own character, and I could explore Aincrad, and I could look around the world, and I could see what Aincrad could have to offer. And I genuinely really thought that this captured that feeling really well. I felt like the combat was super satisfying, probably one of the most satisfying combats I've had in an action RPG in a long time. The only other real exceptions to that being Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy VII Remake. The combat in this genuinely was a ton of fun. There were a lot of really cool, unique systems between the sword skills, stamina management, as well as utilizing your party members to make them useful or have them fight on their own. Really just felt really fun, and I had an absolute blast. My only real gripe with the gameplay mechanics, honestly, is that a lot of the boss fights and even a lot of the mob fights felt too easy. In the demo, I played on normal difficulty, and I think I only died once, and that was a very close death at the very end of a boss fight. I played a little bit too reckless. But other than that, I had really no trouble getting through any of the fights, and even when I was playing particularly more risky and not utilizing a shield when I had my rapier set up. And that really is something that I probably would just play on a harder difficulty, and I know that difficulty scaling could be very different when I get later on in the game, and I'm excited to check out what that difficulty scaling is going to look like on the full release. And so that's something that I'm excited to check out because I really want the game to feel more difficult. I think that is one of the things that would make something like Death Game mode feel more scary, is feeling like fights are coming at risk and really wanting you to utilize the safe areas and genuinely feel like leaving a safe area is a scary thing to do. Whereas with what I experienced in the demo, I didn't really get that feeling. I didn't really feel like I was in any sort of sense of danger. I didn't really feel like I was in this area where if I left the safe area, I could die a lot and be stuck, or I could be swarmed upon by enemies. I just kind of was like, okay, we have a safe area, cool, now we can see more of the map, let's move on. And that was really kind of it. However, I'm going to go back to it, I did genuinely enjoy the map layouts. I thought there was a lot of really cool side content that fit the feeling of what a Sword Art Online MMO would be. and they had a lot of chests and collectibles that you could find. There were really cool side contents with the arcs that you could unlock, those enemy seals that you could go and you could explore, and a lot of really cool areas within Aincrad. And while the world design in itself is pretty simplistic, it doesn't have any crazy areas for movement or anything like that. I didn't necessarily expect that to be the case for this game. I didn't really think that the movement in Echoes of Aincrad really needed to be anything crazy. I didn't think that we needed to have this vast landscape of constant content here and there to do that would require parkour puzzles or things like that. And who knows, maybe upon full release that might change, but overall I genuinely felt like I just had a ton of fun exploring the world of Aincrad and seeing what it had to offer. I'm not going to get into any of the story spoilers because I really want people to be able to experience the demo and play it, and honestly, I genuinely would recommend playing through the demo before full release, not just so that way you can get an experience for the game for yourself, but also the demo does allow you to carry your save over to the main game. And I really think that that is actually a really cool feature within the story. And to avoid spoilers, I'm not going to go into it. All I'm just going to say is do play the demo, because that will give you all of the really cool information that will allow you to kind of see like what I'm talking about with this. So go play the demo. I do, again, highly recommend it. I am going to give a little bit of context within the story, just again without spoilers, but I do genuinely think they did an incredible job at setting up the story for the game in the demo. I think that they introduced a lot of really interesting characters, and there were a lot of moments within the game where I was like, wow, this character went from being somebody where I'm like, okay, they could be really interesting, to I really like them. And I think there's going to be a lot of really cool moments within the game to have some emotional scarring, honestly, with these characters. We know that this game is going to be taking place during the opening months of the Sword Art Online Death game, and that is going to see a lot of change and development with characters very quickly as they get used to the new situations they've found themselves in. So I'm really excited to kind of see how these characters are going to develop, the relationships, and how they're going to adjust to the situation that they're in within the game. So again, the characters are great. I think my favorite one is Cal so far. He's kind of relatable in a lot of ways, so I love him, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with him. And in terms of side content, I talked about it a lot. I did a lot of the exploring, and I think I'm even going to go back into the demo and do even more exploring, just because the world was just fun to explore. I had a lot of fun running around and fighting enemies and looking for chests and things like that, and I kind of want to see what I could maximize my character before full release, so that way I'm ready to go. One of the things I do have as a bit of a concern point, it's not really much of a concern point, but I'm not a big fan of the town being a teleport hub area and the questing area being a teleport area as well. I really would have wanted to see a little bit more of like a seamless transition between town and questing areas, so that way you could kind of feel like once you left you were no longer safe, and there's just kind of like this preparation feeling that you get when you teleport to a questing area, versus just like, okay, if I leave here I could be in a lot of danger. You don't really get that feeling in the demo, and that's something that I really want to see a little bit more of. I want to see the game really kind of build on that feeling of fear, that unsettledness. That's really kind of what I'm wanting out of Echoes of Aincrad, and the demo didn't really feel like it delivered that so far. That might change on full release. I know a lot of that kind of gives within the story, because the story for the demo takes place during the beta test where dying was okay. If you're familiar with the Sword Art Online anime, then you know that there was a beta test, so it's not like we're going into the first areas of the death game right off the bat here in Echoes of Aincrad, right like in this moment in the demo. So that's something where it's not much of a spoiler, but it does give you kind of a bit of an idea as to why that feeling of impending doom wasn't really there. But that is something that I do genuinely want to see built upon more upon full release. Overall, though, like I had said, I really honestly love the game. The combat was super fun, and I'm really excited to see what they do with full release. I pre-ordered the game, and I plan on playing through it on stream. So make sure you guys follow my Twitch so that way you can be a part of that journey and you can see what that would look like. This is also kind of my first JRPG that's not Kingdom Hearts, Persona, or Final Fantasy, so I'm really excited, and since it's an action RPG, I'm even more excited. I love action RPG games, so I'm excited to see kind of what we will get out of this game. But that's pretty much going to do it for this one. I just wanted to give my thoughts on the demo. I didn't want to talk too much about the crafting because I'll probably honestly make a crafting guide before we get into full release. So as always, I want to give my support to our Ko-Fi supporters. You guys are the ones that help to make this channel possible. Make sure you guys check out the link down in the description below so that way you can support on Ko-Fi. And with that, you are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And we will see you right back here in the next one. Goodbye.